Hi everyone, I hope you all are doing well. Today I wanted to do a little chit-chatty kind of video showing all of the things that I handmade this year to give as Christmas presents. Obviously this is going up after Christmas because I don't want to ruin any surprises, but I'm filming this on Christmas Eve, and yeah, I just want to share all the handmade things that I've been working on. This is the most handmade items I've gifted I believe ever for Christmas, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, so I wanted to share them with you all today. So I think I'll go in order of when I made them. So first up, my oldest daughter is absolutely obsessed with cats, and so a while back we were at Joann Fabrics when they had their pattern sales, and I came across this pattern right here, and as you can see, this girl is holding a bag that looks like a cat face, and as soon as I saw it, I just thought, oh my goodness, Peyton would love that. And so I kind of casually showed it to her and was just like, oh, look how cute that is. Isn't that cute? You know, and she was like, oh, I love that and stuff. So I didn't mention anything about making it or anything, but I did pick up the pattern, and I decided I wanted to make it for her for Christmas. And so I went out into our storage building where I have some fabric and things, and I found a gray fabric like this, and it's kind of soft, slightly furry texture, but not like faux fur, you know, and it is left over from a blanket we had thrifted several years back and made some costumes. This is actually the lining of the blanket. The other side had been faux fur, and we made a costume for Jeremiah from it for the medieval fair. I had saved the lining portion because I thought, well, maybe someday I'll come up with something I can use it for, and I thought it would be perfect for making a cat bag, and so that's what I did with it, and here is how it turned out. I think it is just super cute. We actually have a few cats right now that we kind of accidentally adopted. They were our neighbors. Our neighbor moved, and we kind of took over feeding them and stuff. And so two of them are kind of tabby cats where they're like the gray and black and brown. So I thought this would work for it. And I just used scrap fabric to make the appliques for the eyes and the nose, and then I left off the whiskers. They're supposed to have kind of curvy stitched whiskers, and I just didn't really like how that looked, so I left it off. And then the inside is some blue with gold polka dot fabric. I just think it turned out super cute, and I cannot wait for her to see it. I think she's going to absolutely love it. And the only thing that I purchased for this project was the pattern. I believe it was 99 cents. And then the zipper, and it was, I believe, 40 or 50% off when I purchased it. Yeah, so this was a really affordable project to make. It only cost me a couple of dollars, and it just turned out absolutely adorable. And that was kind of my goal this year with handmade items, was I wanted to hand make gifts that I knew people would love, but also trying to purchase as little as possible, because I have a lot of sewing supplies, and I can get creative with what I use and how I use it to make some really awesome things. And this was the first thing I made, and as I said, she is going to just absolutely love it, and I cannot wait for her to open it. So next up, the next thing I started working on was actually a bunch of mittens. These aren't necessarily Christmas gifts per se, but I am giving them to relatives. I haven't gotten them all finished yet, but I do have a few made, and they are actually made from recycled sweaters. They're kind of in that Bernie mitten style because they are made from recycled wool sweaters that I thrifted, and then they are lined with fleece fabric that is left over from the various costumes I've made for my kids. I've made Blue's Clues costume. I have made actually a Totoro costume for myself. I've made a few different fleece costumes, and I had different size scraps and things left over that I thought would be perfect for this. So this is what they look like. So here is a pair I made for Peyton. They look a little bit big, but that's because I gave her a little extra length so she can keep wearing them for a few years as she grows. But I had gone to the thrift store back in the summer and got a handful of wool sweaters that were at least 90% wool. And I just hung on to them. And then around October, I think it was, I finally started felting them. I put them in the washer, hot water as I could get it for the wash, and then cool for the rinse. And then I washed and dried them with a pair of old tennis shoes to kind of bounce them around and help with the felting process. One sweater did develop several holes in it, but I can still use the areas that don't have holes. And then the other ones felted up beautifully. So yeah, this is a fully finished pair of mittens for Peyton. And after I made the first couple of pairs, I actually went back to the thrift store and got a couple more sweaters so I would have some other colors. Oh, and I wanted to mention, I did not know finding a good mitten pattern was so hard. I tried 2 or 3 different mitten patterns I found online. I tried 3 or 4 mitten patterns I found online and was just not happy with them. The first one I actually made out of a sweater. Hated the pattern. It was like, I just wasted sweater fabric. And so after that I learned my lesson and I made just the lining portion, which is the fleece. And so I made fleece test projects to test out the other patterns, and some of them I was able to actually take apart and reuse for smaller sizes so they weren't completely wasted. But yeah, I could not find mitten patterns that I liked that were good fits, and so I finally ended up making my own patterns. I made a kids pattern, a women's pattern, and a men's pattern that after like 8 or 9 different attempts at making mittens, I finally got patterns that I am happy with. And yeah, so now I'm all set, and mittens are actually easier and quicker to make than I thought they would be, like once the pattern is established. Yeah, so they are pretty fun and quick to make. And okay, so here is one of the pairs. And then here is the pair that I am making for myself. This was a sweater vest, men's sweater, women's sweater. Yeah, and then they are fleece inside, and I didn't even use the same color fleece. Like, I'm just using whatever I have. It doesn't matter if it matches or not. The point of it is to keep your hands warm, and boy are they warm. So I am loving them. I am making mittens for myself, the kids, my parents, and then just any other family members who say they want them, because I don't want to make them for everybody. And then like my husband, he won't wear mittens. He is naturally very warm and just isn't interested in a pair of mittens, so I'm not going to waste time making him a pair. But any other family members who are interested in them, and possibly some friends too, I will be making more as the season goes on. But I am just in love with them. They are so fun, and I am repurposing and recycling thrift store items, as well as those bits of fleece fabric that I just had left over hanging around in the storage building that really weren't of any use for any other project, because they're smaller pieces, you know, and not large enough for costumes or anything like that. So I don't know if I will end up doing a video or anything on the mittens, because it'd be kind of complicated to get all the patterns converted and all that. So I don't know. We will see on that. Let me know if that is something that interests you, and if I did do a video, would it be helpful to just put out the video and not put out the patterns, or would you absolutely have to have the patterns? Which way would you prefer it? And we'll see, we'll go from there. Okay, next up is a project that I had actually been planning for quite some time. I told my dad I was making something for him. It was supposed to be a Father's Day gift. Obviously that didn't happen. But I know he's going to love it. And it is a cross-stitch piece based on his car. So my dad had this car back in the 70s. It was a 1963 Dodge Dart. And it was really special to him. I believe it was his very first car. And it wasn't in good shape later on. And so he ended up needing to sell it and stuff. In recent years, a few years back, he found the same year car and purchased one. It's not the same color or anything as the original, but he does have the same make and model car as what his first car was. And it's just something really special to him. And so I thought, what if I make a cross stitch of it? Because you may remember back in, I believe it was January of this year, I made a cross stitch of my parents' house for my mom for a late Christmas present. And so I just thought it'd be kind of neat to do something for my dad like that. And so I had a cross stitch pattern. I did not think to get it out, but it's called a one-nighter pattern. And I guess because you can pretty much stitch anything on it in one night or in one setting. And they have a lot of different versions of it. Like I have one that's turtles, like 65 different turtles. And then I have one that's like trains, like 85 different train things or something. And I had one that was like classic cars. And of course they didn't have a 63 Dodge Dart because that's pretty obscure. But they had some convertibles and they had some, you know, vintage cars and things that I could kind of take a piece from this one and a piece from that one and draw it out on graph paper and customize it to my dad's car and make it look as close to his car as I could. And anytime I take on one of these kinds of projects where I'm trying to make it look like my parents' house or my dad's car, I have to go and spend a lot of time looking on like Facebook and through old photos to try to find reference pictures. And it's just a really funny like research process. But so I got it drawn out on graph paper, and I didn't chart it on my computer like I normally chart my cross-stitch designs, because if you don't know, I design cross-stitch patterns and I sell them in my Etsy store. Etsy link down below, and I do have a lot more designs coming very soon. I've been working on them. But on this one, I did not graph it or chart it on my computer because there are a lot of like back stitches and things like that that are not very fun to do on the computer. And anyway, so I drew it out. I sent the picture of it to my mom and said, you know, do you think this looks pretty close? And then I made my mom take her DMC thread chart out into the garage to color match my dad's car and see what color thread it was the closest to. And you're probably like just show the cross stitch by now. And so anyway, I stitched it and it is fantastic. And before I show it, let me tell you, I do not like working with metallic thread. I had to work with silver metallic thread, and it is the worst thing I've ever worked with, but it was worth it because here it is. I will insert close-up pictures. I think it turned out absolutely adorable, and I know my dad is going to love it. And I finished it on a little frame piece from Hobby Lobby with a like picture frame stand flappy thing. That way he can set it on his desk at work. And yeah, I just think it turned out so cute. And at first I was like, it feels a little bit unfinished. And so what I ended up doing is taking two strands of the red floss and back stitching around the entire car just to help it have a more like solid outline. But yeah, I think it turned out so so great, and I know he is going to love it. I wish it would have been just a little bit bigger, but since I was basing it on those one-nighter designs, they are pretty small, and I did not want to try to scale it up while I was designing it and everything. I just thought that was a little too much for me to deal with all at once. But yeah, it turned out so cute, and I cannot wait to see my dad's face when I give this to him. Okay, I had planned on making 2 other items, one for my mother-in-law and one for Jeremiah, but I realized I was kind of running out of time and I couldn't find the fabric for my mother-in-law's gift. I was going through my stash and just wasn't happy with the fabrics I was finding. I couldn't find enough that coordinated, and so I decided to not do that project, and instead I just skipped straight to the project I was making for Jeremiah, my husband. And it is based off of this pattern that we found the same day as the cat purse pattern. It is a Star Wars Mandalorian bag pattern, and I, of course, cannot follow a single pattern exactly as shown to save my life. So I decided to make view B, but with the applique from view C. So this flap where it has the slant on it, but with this picture design on it. So that is what I did, and mostly because I didn't have enough shades of gray to make that applique. But anyway, so I again went to our storage building and went through looking for fabrics, and I found a couple of different ones that I thought would work well. So first up, I found a black fabric, and this is actually a fabric I bought 12 or 13 years ago. I'm not really even sure what kind it is. Maybe a twill. And I bought it because at the time everyone was like, oh, everyone needs a little black dress in their wardrobe, and your wardrobe's not complete without a little black dress. And so I was like, oh, I'll make myself a little black dress, you know. Well, I bought the pattern, I bought the fabric, and I never made it. I had no desire to make it, and I think I even put the pattern in the get rid of pile quite some time ago, and I still had the fabric, and it is really nice fabric. And so I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to stop looking at this and going, oh, that's that dress I'm never gonna make, and just finally use it. So I grabbed that fabric, and I also grabbed a gray fabric that I had bought an entire bolt of at a garage sale or thrift store or something a while back, and no, not a while back, 10 years ago. And I've used it for a few different projects, and I still had some left, so I used it for this. So again, on this pattern, I also had to change the strap. So this strap, the crossbody strap, is just one length, and they show it on a female who we have no idea how tall she is. No clue. So we don't know really how this bag strap is going to sit on my 6'2" husband, who just texted me. So I decided I wanted to switch it to be an adjustable bag strap. And so at this point I was like, I don't think I can finish this without showing it to him, because I need some input. I need to know which side of his body he wants to wear the bag on, about how high he wants to wear the bag, and stuff like that. So I did end up having to show it to him a little while back, maybe 2 weeks and a half, 2 weeks ago, to get his opinion on some things. But I am so happy with how it turned out. Right before I filmed this video, I was actually finishing sewing the snaps on it. So for this bag, I bought the hardware for the adjustable strap, where I repatterned the strap. I had to add like 15 inches to the strap to make it long enough for him and to have about 5 inches of adjusting. So the strap itself was about 10 inches too short. So it's a very good thing I did not just make the bag as is. It would have looked ridiculous on him. So anyway, I bought the hardware for the straps, and then I bought the magnetic snaps. These are not the kind where you like cut a slit in the fabric and install them that way. These are sew-on magnetic snaps. So anyway, here is how the bag turned out. I really did not take into consideration how much this pocket shows, and I kind of wish I would have just done it in black. But that is okay. You probably wouldn't have been able to tell that this is an angle as much if this had been black, but it is fine. And I decided to do fusible fleece inside for the bag body and the flap, as well as the strap. I actually sewed the strap, flipped it, top stitched it, all that stuff, and then remembered I didn't put any stabilizer in this, and so I had to undo the top stitching, flip it back, put the fusible fleece in, and then redo all of it. Anyway, so there is the front flap that is on an angle. There are two snaps that are not spaced out like you would think, because I did not want to attach a snap over here on the pocket. So there's one down at the lowest point and then one about midway. Inside is more of the gray fabric because I didn't want this bag to be incredibly dark. If I had lined it with black and you like go to look in it and try to find something, then you know you can't see anything in there. So it's lined in the gray, the pocket's gray, and then there are one pocket on the back that's divided into two sections. Then the part that I think is the coolest, maybe it's just me, I don't know, is the bottom. So I sewed the bottom portion. Before I sewed it to the bag, I put a little like extra layer from here to here, and I just sewed it along the long sides. I did not attach it on the ends. And then, so I sewed my bag together, I left the opening in the lining and sewed the outer to the lining, flipped it, and then I took a flexible chopping mat. So these ones that I pick up at Dollar Tree and actually use to make templates for like my fabric bunting back here and my newsboy hats. I make little plastic patterns with this, but this time I cut it to fit the bottom of the bag. So the bottom of the bag actually has one of those flexible chopping mats that is the same width as the base here and this long, so that if he wants to put anything that is, you know, semi-heavy in the bag, it won't just and like bend out of shape and everything. It will actually still have some bit of structure and support in it. And I think that is super duper cool. And again, here is the adjustable strap. So the reason I had to do so much patterning on the straps is they start out before they're sewn 5 inches wide down here, and they go to 3 inches. And it's supposed to be where you cut it on the fold. So it's 5 inches to 3 inches and then back to 5 inches. So I wanted to extend it, and so I had to make it where it's still 5 inches down here and then get to 3 inches and then stay 3 inches long enough to attach to this. And then on the other side, it was 5 inches to 3 inches, and then I had to do like 20 additional inches that was 3 inches wide. So I'm sure that's confusing, but and I had to make sure that there was enough area that was the width of this for it to adjust, and also to just not look goofy, you know. But I think it all worked out really well. Obviously he has not used it yet because I haven't officially gifted it to him at the point of filming this video. But I think it's going to be something he really likes. And his old bag that he used, the snaps on it broke a while back. And so maybe he can start using this as a replacement. Anyway, that is everything I have to show today. So I made the 2 bags, the cross stitch, and then the mittens are kind of still a work in progress for those who want them. But yeah, I am really happy with what I made. I'm really happy with what I came up with, because I know everything that I made for people, they are going to absolutely love. And that means a lot to me, because I didn't want to just make things to be making things and it not actually be items that the recipients would cherish and enjoy, and it would just be wasted time, you know. Oh, I also wanted to mention that on the flap, I top stitched around the edge, and then I top stitched an 1.25 inches in from that again, and stopping at the applique each time, because I didn't want the snaps to only be attached to the lining layer and the fusible fleece, and it be like pulling away from the outer when you go to unsnap it. So I sewed the snaps on, and then I figured out where to stitch this line so that the lining and outer are held together very well there, and it would make it stronger for the snaps to be fastened and unfastened over and over and over. But anyway, I believe that is everything I have to share today. Oh, I will share also what else Peyton is getting for her gift that is not handmade. She is getting all of the things she needs for sewing. She started sewing a few months ago, and just kind of using whatever supplies I had around. And I went and bought her own tape measure that actually looks like a cat face, her own sewing clips, straight pens, pen cushion, scissors, marking tools, all kinds of stuff. And we are going to start working more on teaching her to sew. I have a few different learn to sew patterns showing how to make clothing for 18-inch dolls, which is what she's getting for her birthday. In a couple weeks, she's getting 18-inch doll that she can make clothes for, so she can learn how to make clothes for that. And I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. I got her a little sewing station set up in our schoolroom, and she's just going to have lots and lots of fun learning to sew. She recently made her first cross stitch design, and she's just having a lot of fun being crafty. And my younger daughter Skylar is starting to show an interest in it as well, so I think she's going to start cross stitching soon also. And yeah, it's just a lot of crafty fun around here. But anyway, I hope that by the time you've seen this, you have had a wonderful Christmas, wonderful holiday season. And yeah, I appreciate all of you for watching my channel, and just all your kind comments and everything throughout all the years that I've been on YouTube. And yeah, until next time, happy sewing.